We talked about, man, one of my favorite ways to fish. I'm gonna talk about a couple more that are really cool, and gonna get into some smallmouth, which, who here would say that smallmouth is their favorite fish to fish for ever? About over half the class. Me too, baby. I love them. I mean, they're just so much fun. They pull hard, they jump this high out of. Did you ever notice you hook a 4-pound smallmouth, the first thing he does is jump this high? That's pretty cool. They're fun to aggravate. They're easy to catch on the spawning beds. I hate sight fishing, but I love bed fishing for smallmouth because you could put a treble hook on your shoe and throw it over to a smallmouth bed and he'll probably eat it. So, but I love fishing for them, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit. But nose down, slow rising, tight wobbling. It's a hunting crankbait. I use it. One of my favorite places to use it is the upper Chesapeake Bay. And when those fish crash, they get in 6 inches of water sometimes. I mean big 6 and 7 pound bass, pre-spawn females, up cruising inside grass lines to get ready for the spawn. And that's where fish in our region love to spawn. We get inside grass lines because of ice. We get inside grass lines because of winter pool. We get inside grass lines because the rock outcroppings don't let the grass grow and it creates an inside edge. Well, the inside edge is an outstanding place to look for a spawning bass. And that's where I built this crankbait to flourish in those conditions. And there's a couple things that I do. Like I said, it's finesse crankbait, so I'm not ripping the trigger strikes. I'm not being radical with my retrieve. What I'll do is I throw that up I parallel the inside edge. I sit just out deeper than the inside edge. I throw inside and I use my rod pointed down or up depending on how shallow it is, and I'm trying to encounter that grass. I'm trying to get the bait into the grass. Now what your natural tendency will do will be to really snap it and jerk it. Well, what will happen a lot of times is you're going to wad up in the grass with all these treble hooks when you do that. And the fish that are that shallow, that are thinking about spawning, are often hard to trigger. So if you really rip it fast, you're pulling it out of their strike zone. So what I'll do is I raise my rod tip and I snap, 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 twitch the slack in the line. And I don't know, I know this because I had to explain it to somebody, but I do it 3 times. And it clears the grass right off of there. Snap, 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 whoof. And the big ones will come up and get it. And it's a little tiny bait that catches big, big fish certain times a year. All right, we're going high speed. I love smallmouth. See, I talked and I gave a smallmouth seminar here last year about my power finesse approach, how I use, there's a magic button for smallmouth. Anytime you find them smallmouth following your baits back to the boat, there's a way to catch them. There's always a way. It's not always easy to find. I don't always find it. But I've developed a couple, some power baits, a series of power baits, and a series of finesse baits that I use, that I go through this whole cycle. And I never know what it's going to be. I don't know. I can catch them on a jerkbait one day, heck, 1 hour, and the next hour they won't touch a jerkbait. And a lot of people think smallmouth move because of that, because they're like, oh, they were eating a jerkbait, that school of fish must have moved. But I'm of the theory that they don't move as much as we think they do. They stay in an area to feed because there's a lot of bait there, but they change their mood, man. They go from, snapping to whoop, can't make them bite. But I continually try to trigger strikes going through that power finesse approach, and I know a lot of you guys saw that, and I'll show you some of the baits I use later. But what I wanted to talk about today was the seasonal patterns, and I think that's probably the most important thing in fishing, is understanding the seasonal patterns. It's one of the things that Bass Gold does. It really dials into what the seasonal patterns are of fish by telling what types of cover that these fish are going to be caught on at different times of year. You can be the best, I don't know, deep water fisherman in the world, deep crankbait guy, but if they're all on the bank, you're not going to get a bite, right? So you got to know where the fish are. Hey, I'm Pete Gluszek.
And I'm Mike Iaconelli.
And this is Bass University TV.
Welcome to Bass University TV, an online video training course where you'll learn champion bass fishing techniques from pro anglers Pete Gluszek, Mike Iaconelli, and their talented special guests.
Everywhere I go in the country, I'm trying to use these techniques because I catch big fish that way.
From on the water to in the classroom,
We want to use that bait to help make that area even smaller and really, really find that sweet spot.
you'll learn sound techniques and strong fundamental bass fishing skills.
You want something that's got a nice limber action, that's going to allow you to build pressure and keep those hooks pinned against that fish's mouth.
Watch hours of video content on multiple topics at your own pace for a low monthly fee. Cancel at any time.
Hold on, because you're going to catch some big fish.
Information is power in the sport of fishing, so learn from the very best.
That's a key theory in all of fishing.
Subscribe to Bass University TV today.
Man, does it trigger a lot of strikes.
Here's the part that you're not going to hear anywhere else. This is the Bass University TV exclusive.